The Hard Count is presented by BetMGM. As y'all know by now, we've teamed up with BetMGM this college football season. We'll be using their lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for all of you each week. Now, when you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up yet for BetMGM, use bonus code HARDCOUNT, and you'll get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how that works. 1, download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code HARDCOUNT. 2, deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. Step 3, you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code HARDCOUNT when you sign up. Let's make this college football season 1 for the books. Let's make it legendary. Let's get to the show. Welcome into the Hard Count, the college football show that hopes against all hope and believes against all unbelief. John Mateer's going to play in Red River, right? How about that? Also, we're busting myths today. A lot of things said about what can't happen in College Station. Battered Aggie syndrome, we're taking that down today. Junior, glad to have a part of this. As always, the Hard Count presented by BetMGM. It is a wonderful Thursday, October 9th, 2025. Last one on the face of the planet. October started last weekend. Last weekend was the most high-profile slate of all time when it comes to the college football world. But as we look down the barrel of this college football season, I think we should have a conversation together as to who October is most important for in the context of this college football season. Now, full disclaimer, I shot this topic idea over to Cato before the show, and I said, Caden, just what I said before, who has the most important October in college football? And then I saw the little speech bubbles pop up on Slack, and the response was, anyone that's a contender with 2 losses. Very fair play. So October, the middle of the college football season, is crucial for everybody. You name it. I mean, Notre Dame's got 2 losses. They absolutely have to turn it on right now. Talk about Penn State with 2 losses. They got to turn it on right now. So there's a lot of teams with 2 losses that October, like your safety net is gone, brother. You gotta take that costume off. I don't care if it's Halloween or not. You got to be the real deal here the rest of the college football season to keep your playoff hopes intact. But with that little preface out of the way, a couple teams I want to unpack here together. Michigan. They play at USC this weekend. They play Washington. They play at Michigan State. So a rivalry game to round out the old October slate for the Wolverines. But the reason why October is so crucial for the Maize and Blue, man, what are we playing for against Ohio State is my big question. October will determine that. If you go ahead and lose, the game against USC and Washington, sitting there at 9-3 if you beat Michigan State when you head to Columbus, because spoiler alert, November, outside of the Ohio State game for Michigan, not all that much to get your blood boiling about, to keep it a buck here. But if you go ahead and just split USC and Washington, ideally you beat both, you just split USC and Washington. Show up in that game against Ohio State at your place. We talked about it all offseason long. If you're a Michigan fan, you say, JD, just get us to that game against Ohio State, lock the gates with 2 losses, and we're a playoff team. All right. Now, what that would require, I think, if you're a Michigan fan, if you're watching your team every single Saturday, living and dying with them, you need a little bit of extra growth there from Bryce Underwood. I'm not saying Bryce Underwood hasn't still grown from that Oklahoma game all the way till now, but you know every holiday when you see that aunt, maybe she's weird, maybe she's not, but she looks at you in every single holiday. Even if you see her, every other year, every year, she always says, you look so grown up. How long has it been? It's been 1 year. I'm a year older. Like, what do you mean? You need those moments, though, with Bryce Underwood against Washington, against USC, down the stretch here. Bryce, you look so grown up. You've grown up so much since your first start here at Michigan. You just keep getting better and better. We keep giving you more and more of the offense to roll with, more and more leeway within this system to do what you want to do. Because I said it on our prediction for the USC game. I'll say it again, dude. Bryce Underwood did not come to Michigan to hand the football off. Now, as part of it, nice little part of what Michigan does offensively, but he came there to drop bombs, to deliver the mail, to make Michigan two-dimensional. I did not say he came there to Michigan to make them an air raid offense, but he came to Michigan to complement what they already do, as well as anybody else in college football, which is run the freaking ball. So Michigan, October is crucial for you because it's going to set the table for that rivalry game against Ohio State. And I would love so much selfishly as a college football fan here, if we could get that Ohio State game for Michigan to be back like it was in 2023 and 2022, where it's like, all right, playoff stakes here. And I would be a little bit surprised if that was the situation for Ohio State based on how they're looking right now. I don't know. It's college football. Crazy things happen all the time. But I would love so much if we got that set up between those two teams in a elimination game. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not saying I want to see Ohio State and Michigan in a spot where only one of them makes the college football playoff. But even if it's just for one side, even if it's just like, hey, Michigan, you're 9-2. If you lose, you're not in the playoff. If you do, if you win, rather, you make it in. That would be a lot of fun. But to go back to my point here, Michigan, October is huge for you because if you walk into that game 9-2 against Ohio State, it's because of this month. Move along. USC. You play Michigan this weekend. I think October is just as big a deal for y'all in Los Angeles, man. A couple of factors as to why. We talked about what USC had to do this season and what the mission was for 2025 before the year. Did that for a lot of teams, but for USC, there's a lot of different facets to it. We said for USC, this year's about showing the arrow is pointing up. Show them this is going somewhere under Lincoln Riley. Because the first year was awesome. They wrote songs about that first year for Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams. And you go compete for a New Year's Six bowl win. You lose to Tulane. It is what it is. But you got excited because that first year was magic. And then the next year, Caleb Williams comes back, and you're like, it wasn't really what I thought we were getting into. Why? The defense is bad. The defense is bad. Okay, unfortunately, got to make some changes on the defensive staff side. Defense gets better the next year. You're like, okay, here we go now. Got a defense in L.A., and then the offense kind of drops the ball. Yet again, another year. Your first year in the Big Ten now. Another year, though, at USC under Lincoln Riley where you're left wanting a little bit more. So this past offseason, what was all the buzz with USC outside of what that team was looking like? Hey, USC is recruiting like a program. Chad Bowden, certified psychopath as a GM out there, got USC with the number one class right now, according to Rivals. This year for USC is about showing the arrow is pointing up and then keeping that number one ranked recruiting class, as we speak right now during this video, intact. Don't need to be number one to finish the year on signing day, but you can be like top 5. It's a great deal for USC. Future's bright at USC if you can do that. And you look at 2026, and we'll see what happens in that season. But for October, you play Michigan. You're at Notre Dame. If you want the arrow to be pointing up going into next season, if you want to have momentum, if you want to have optics looking the right way this season, if you can win both those games, hey, don't look now, but USC would have, one, optically, hung with 2 line of scrimmage football teams in Michigan and Notre Dame, and more than hung with them, beat them. And you're rolling to November at Nebraska, Northwestern, Iowa, at Oregon, UCLA. I don't know, man. Rolling November with 1 loss. You get frisky real quick for USC. Be a spunky USC team. Take it a step further. Think about where the confidence is at for USC if you beat Michigan and Notre Dame. 2 teams that I think you could argue are college football playoff caliber, or at least fringe college football playoff caliber teams. I think USC is walking with a little extra pep in their step there. A little extra proof of concept for the physical brand of football they've been trying to build there for the Trojans. Jan Maavas feeling himself a little bit. Okay, the receivers you would hope are all the way back healthy at this point in time. Jacoby Lane's balling. I don't know. I'm just saying, get USC to November with 1 loss. You got 1 loss you could drop between, again, those teams I just mentioned. I guess Oregon's the one you look at most closely. I'm just saying, for USC, the momentum and the vibe around Los Angeles with that kind of October, setting the table for November, I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for it. But that's why October is so huge for USC. Michigan at Notre Dame, handle business. The world is yours, USC. Run with it. Oklahoma, big October here for the boys, man. The John Mateer stuff we'll get to a little bit later in the show. But just what we said for USC, I think it's the same you could say for Oklahoma. October sets the table for November. And October looks a little bit more manageable than it did when we sat there during SEC Media Days and talked about how tough Oklahoma's schedule was. October for Oklahoma, obviously Red River, at South Carolina, and Ole Miss. The way that I see it, at South Carolina, yeah, you're on the road, but it's going to be a day game from what I can gather. And then hosting Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss is must-see TV. He's awesome. I am first-team All-Trinidad Chambliss stan, but is there a little bit of a feel for you like, hey, this guy did play D2 a year ago? Is there a point where he turns back into a pumpkin of sorts? Does he have an SEC moment? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But if you go 3-0 in that stretch, all you got to do is go 2-2 in the month of November against games at Tennessee, at Alabama, Missouri, and LSU. Go 2-2 in those 4. Oklahoma, clap it up, baby. You're in the college football playoff. How huge would that be for Oklahoma? So going back to what this October slate holds, I think all 3 of those games should feel pretty winnable, at least based on what you felt before the year. Compare that to how you feel right now. Like Texas, Arch Manning, spoiler alert, he is not the next best thing to be wearing shoulder pads as he was billed as before the year. Texas is still good. It's Red River. It'll be weird, but it's a winnable game. I told you South Carolina on the road, day game. Okay, that's advantage Oklahoma from what I can gather. Then also you have the hope that John Mateer is back for that game. If he's playing in Red River, he's probably playing at South Carolina, right? And hopefully a more healthy version of himself from week to week. South Carolina hasn't been, I think, what a lot of us hoped they would be before the year. Now, it is Cocktober, but I'm just saying that game feels pretty winnable. Already addressed the Ole Miss side of this. If I'm Oklahoma, all I'm saying is get us in the dance, lock the door, you'll have to deal with this. And I said it after the Michigan game. Oklahoma is the crazy person of college football. I don't know what I'm getting from them every single day, every single Saturday. It might be a little bit lackluster from that running back room. There might be a chance to get got on the back end with how aggressive our defense is when it comes to the explosive side of things. But just get us in the doors. Give us a 4-quarter game in a playoff setting and let us handle the rest. Especially with a healthy John Mateer, all bets are off. All bets are off. And Oklahoma, the way they're vibing right now, the confidence they seem to be walking with, it's very funny to juxtapose that this year to what they were last year. Because Oklahoma, there were points last year where, at least for me, watching them play games against South Carolina, where South Carolina felt like had just 17 defensive touchdowns, I was like, man, I kind of feel bad for them, dude. They're dinged up all over the place at receiver. The offensive line straight up Swiss cheese. Jackson Arnold does not look confident or comfortable at all when he's in the game. When he's not in the game, Michael Hawkins Jr. very clearly should not be playing college football right now. He should be redshirting. There was a point where you almost felt bad for Oklahoma, and you wondered a little bit like, hey, where's the psyche at for them? Are they confident? Are they feeling bad for themselves? Take that thought from a year ago, then look at what they are right now. Oklahoma is walking with a little extra pep in their step. And I'm here for it, dude, because that place, that brand, all of that logo, it deserves to have a little bit extra confidence. The Malcolm Kelly freestyle swagger behind it. You know what I'm saying? And so Oklahoma to have that, I love that for them. But the reason why they have that is because of John Mateer, is because of the new offensive staff they brought in with Ben Arbuckle. Like Oklahoma is that guy, you know, that got into a new relationship or bought a new car or bought some new shoes and just totally new personality. Like they're saying words you've never heard them say before. Like, yeah, dog, that's I got some Riz. What are you talking about? You didn't even... Where did you learn that word? Who's telling you that? Yeah, bro, it's Phi. What? And it doesn't matter what you think of them because what they think of themselves is the most important part of this. And Oklahoma right now has got that extra swagger. I love it. I'm here for it. Oklahoma handle business in October, go undefeated, 2-2. Feels pretty doable. And if they're in the dance, it's wraps. Kato, we've talked a lot about the Sooners on this show, man. What's your take on Oklahoma at this point in time, man? The vibe feels a lot better than last year, but if you get them through October unbeaten, bro, in those 3 games, I wouldn't want to play them.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is obviously dependent on the John Mateer injury. Like an undefeated Oklahoma to this point, playoff odds just skyrocket. But looking at their schedule, not only in October, but November as well, I think you could argue this is the most important team in college football. Like if they do their thing, only lose 2 games, even they just run the table, right? Like hypothetically, like that would be the ceiling of this team. They run the table. They have all these ranked wins. They have the most impressive resume in the SEC. They run through the table. They would be in that like same vein, ruining a lot of teams' playoff hopes. But even like win-loss wise, you don't have to squint to see Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU in the playoff right now. Just given their records right now and their body of work, I think Oklahoma is just like the keys to the playoff as far as the SEC goes are just in their hands. Like whoever they knock off in October and November, that could ruin that team's season going to the playoff. It could be like the best loss or win on that team's record, depending on how it stacks up. Like I just feel like they are at the absolute center of the SEC playoff picture because of them being undefeated now and the amount of teams they play surely on their schedule that have playoff hopes.
I feel like I should have just been doing this the whole time while you were just spitting, just... Cato hit it. Like that's what it felt like. Because I think you're 100% on the money. Like, we said that before the year about Florida. Like, hey, Florida's going to touch a lot of these top-ranked teams if Lagway is who we think he could be. And we weren't all that far off on that train of thought. But you talk about Oklahoma. They've been the team that is like the wagon, the one that you don't want to see coming to your place. Tennessee, at Alabama, like Missouri could absolutely be a play. Like they have a chance to, like you just said, wreck a lot of these teams' dreams, dude. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, given what Florida's already done, I think they have they could play the Grim Reaper role. If you they catch you slipping, you think you're gonna make the playoff, you have one loss already, and then bang, Florida gives you your second, your third. You underestimated them. You see what happened in the Swamp this weekend. Oklahoma is looking like a wagon, so it's now it's I'm telling you what, if John Mateer plays, we'll get to that later in the show, but him playing versus not playing versus the record with him playing and not playing, there's a lot to do there. But when he's in the lineup, all of a sudden it quickly turned into Oklahoma has a hard schedule to no, you have Oklahoma on your schedule.
Yes.
You have to play John Mateer and you have to play that defense. So I couldn't help but look at their schedule and feel like this is the team that might impact the postseason the most out of all of the teams. So their October is not only the most important month, and maybe November as well for them, depending on how you look at it. It might be the most important month for the entire conference as far as how Oklahoma performs in October and November.
They're a wagon. Some would say a schooner of sorts, the old program out there in Norman. As college football fans, dude, I don't like to act entitled, but I think we deserve John Mateer playing in Red River. I think we deserve healthy John Mateer for the rest of October and November. Is that am I reaching there? I don't think I'm reaching.
I think we've earned it. I think
we've earned it.
We put in the work this offseason. We talked to John personally at SEC Media Days.
Bought a headband.
And yeah, I mean, we invested stock a long, long time ago. So I think we've all earned it. We'll talk about it again later in the show, but the injury risk, as much as I want to see him play, if he, I just don't want to see him get hurt, man. It's just keep John safe, man. Every tackle, every throw will be watched with a heightened level of sensitivity for sure, because we want them to win in October. We want them to win in November if you're an Oklahoma fan. So we'll see, man. But I think we earned it. We should hopefully get the chance to see it if we can.
We've been good all year long. Trying to get on the nice list. And I think us as college football fans, for the most part, have done that. Eddie Radosevich, for those of y'all dialed in over at Sooner Scoop, just dropping, gems is probably the wrong way to phrase it. Absolute social media gold over there on his Twitter accounts, to go give him a follow and check out all the good stuff that him and the entire Sooner Scoop team is providing. But moving along here in terms of most important Octobers in college football, how about Arizona State? Arizona State, don't look now. They got a game at Utah this weekend in the Sickos Hour special. Then they play Texas Tech. Then they play Houston, who was previously unbeaten before Texas Tech took belt to cheeks there. If Arizona State can go unbeaten in October, I think you're looking at what prices look like to get to old DFW. Can you get a flight into maybe Dallas Love Field if you're an Arizona State fan and trying to find a way to get to Jerry World? Because I think, honestly, at that point, your November is at Iowa State, West Virginia, at Colorado, Arizona. It's the Big 12. At Iowa State is not going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. But remember, Arizona State has not lost a game in conference play. Mississippi State lost hurt. Promised you it hurt. The Cowbells maybe still giving the people in Tempe, Arizona a little bit of an uncomfortable vibe. I don't blame you. But they haven't lost in the conference. And if you lose 2 games in conference play, if we're using last season in the Big 12 as a measuring stick as to what's going to get you into the conference title game, 2 losses in conference is about where that bar falls. So all I'm saying is get ASU through October unbeaten, or heck, with 1 loss, and I would feel pretty good about my chances to get to Jerry World. You get to Jerry World, it's a veteran team. I know you lost Cam Scadaboo. He's been awesome for the New York Giants. I love watching him every single time I get to see him do his pregame routine. I'm going down a rabbit hole there, but I love Cam Scadaboo. He's not on the team anymore. But with that being said, still a veteran team. A veteran team in a 1-game situation to get to the college football playoff, maybe even against a team you've already played against. Hint, hint, wink, wink, at Utah, Texas Tech. ASU could be a wagon there. Could be a problem. Could be something to be dealt with. So ASU, just get them to that 1-game playing spot, and they will be something to be accounted for, to say the very least. Auburn, October is huge for y'all, and for different reasons than what we've unpacked to this point throughout this most important October segment. My thing with Auburn is you can't go 6-6. Auburn fans know that. This isn't breaking news to y'all. It's been a tough year. Been a tough last couple of games, I should say, for the good folks out there on the plains. And when I look at what Auburn has left on this schedule, I see a not guaranteed 3 wins, but 3 wins that you feel pretty good about getting. That is Kentucky, that is Mercer, that is Arkansas. Now, the October stretch for Auburn is Georgia, Missouri at Arkansas, leading into November where you have Kentucky at Vandy, Mercer, Alabama. So you got 3 wins right now. I see 3 more wins you feel good about. That means you have to go find a way to get to 8 wins, which is the number we talked about in the preseason, is the number you feel probably is a number for success this season that you would qualify as like, okay, not the best year, but good enough year for Hugh Freeze. That means you got to find a way to win 2 of these games. Georgia, Missouri, Vandy, Bama. Not saying it's not possible. I'm saying I don't know which one of those games Auburn's going to be favored in. So if you're Auburn, time to get frisky, man. Time to drink all the pre-workout, see some red, play the rock music, and go make something happen. Go break some stuff if you're Auburn. This is that kind of the time of the year where you got to go get that done. It's giving me the vibe of whenever you set a New Year's resolution in January, and you get to like October, November, you're like, shoot, I got a few more months here to finish everything I wanted. I got a few more months here to lose 20 pounds. For me, it's like I got a few more months here to read 6 books to get to my number of 12 for the year. Like I'm cramming right now. Auburn, you're kind of in cram mode by nature of what happened against A&M and by nature of kind of just how you started the year in general. So with that being the thought going into October, I need Auburn to, just what I said, get frisky, but also I need you to beat the teams that you recruit better than. Like you recruit better than Missouri. You recruit better than Vanderbilt. Both those teams, I think when they play Auburn, we'll see about Vandy. We'll see if the logo impacts Vegas at all. But both those teams, I think, will be favored against you when you play them. Got to find a way to get some wins here that maybe you won't be favored to get. So for Auburn, if we go 6-6 this year, it's going to feel a lot like, man, year 3, we have the same record that we had year 1. Where is this thing going? Signing day is always fun. The portal is always fun because we acquire good talent. But where's this thing really going? Now, that's not me putting Hugh Freeze on the hot seat. I'm not saying that. But I am saying it would get real uncomfortable, and it would get real urgent. It would get real pressy around Auburn when it comes to what this upcoming season is going to be for them. Now, I will say, too, 6-6 for Auburn. I don't think you're firing Hugh Freeze, but I do think it's a much less fun discussion when you get to media days next year. This past media days, we're saying, what could Auburn be? Hey, Arnold's a talented kid. Wasn't great at Oklahoma and wasn't great around him at Oklahoma, but those weapons, Hugh Freeze and his offensive acumen, all those, there's a lot to write home about with what Auburn has on this roster, but you haven't seen it translate just yet to the degree you would hope it would translate. And I mentioned that what I said about Missouri and Vanderbilt not recruiting as well as Auburn, those are games that on paper you have better players pound for pound, top to bottom. Now, having better players doesn't automatically equate to winning football games. That's why we have a season, not just recruiting rankings. But I hope I haven't been unclear here. For Auburn, can't go 6-6. 6-6 is not good enough. 6-6 makes people uncomfortable, right? It's like playing your music out loud at a party from your phone. It's just like, what are you? That's weird. 6-6, that's weird after recruiting in the top 10 a couple of years in a row. If you're Auburn, 6-6, can't have it, should not have it. And if you win games against teams you recruit better than, you will not have it. So let's go get frisky. Auburn rooting for you, pulling for you. Let's go make some noise here in the month of October. Carry that over to November, and we'll see where we are when the dust settles here. Last team to talk about here, Nebraska. Similar discussion in a different way than what we just said about Auburn. It's about taking that next step for Matt Rule here in year 3. And when you look at what they have in October, they play at Maryland, they play at Minnesota, and they play Northwestern. Now, subtract Northwestern from that equation, because if you lose to Northwestern, the conversation becomes a lot less fun to be had about this year, because Northwestern is a game you should win. But at Maryland, at Minnesota, when I look at those 2 teams, I see the middle class of the Big Ten, right around where Nebraska's essentially hung out over the course of, last season and going into this season. But Matt Rule didn't go to Nebraska to go win 7-8 games and go to a bowl game. We end the bowl drought. That's awesome. Good for us. He's not there to hang out in the middle class of the Big Ten. You hired Matt Rule to go compete for Big Ten championships and be a team that can make the college football playoff. If you don't believe me, look at what you're paying Dylan Raiola, or go do some digging on what you're paying Dylan Raiola. It's not a free 99 price point. He didn't just come to Nebraska because he's got a family member that went there. I'm sure that was part of it. I don't doubt that part of it, but I'm just saying Dylan Raiola is at Nebraska to go make a difference, as is Matt Rule. And so if you want to go make a difference this year, you separate this season from that middle class. You elevate yourself. At Maryland, at Minnesota, have to be wins. And then November, if Nebraska does what I just said they should do and get through October unbeaten, At that point, man, you got USC, at UCLA, at Penn State, Iowa. I don't know. Nobody in November looks unbeatable to me. USC, the way they lost to Illinois, I think Nebraska could replicate that. At UCLA, I know they just beat Penn State, but that was their only win so far. At Penn State, they just lost to a team that hasn't won a game yet. Now, it's on the road, so I'm not saying that you're winning that game, but it should be mentioned Matt Rule went to Penn State, maybe a little bit extra emotional juice. I'd love to see the pregame speech from the locker room for that. So if anyone's got a body cam GoPro they want to strap on for that one, that'd be a lot of fun. And then Iowa's a rivalry game. You're hosting them. I'm just saying. Can we dream a little bit and say, what if Nebraska runs the table in October and then gets a little bit frisky against a USC and an Iowa, and only loss in November is to Penn State? 10-2 Huskers. I'm just saying. Anything is possible. It's college football, and crazy things happen in college football all the time. What this would mean for Nebraska if you do what you're supposed to do in October and get to November with that kind of excitement and juice around you. We are no longer in year 3 for Nebraska and for Matt Rule trying to justify results. Doesn't that kind of just piss you off if you're a Nebraska fan? A place with that much tradition and that logo and that history. And we're over here the last couple of years talking about, man, can they make a bowl game? Man, well, they didn't make a bowl game. Well, all these one-score losses, all this and that. Well, their personnel isn't yet where it needs to be. No, it's year 3. It's Matt Rule. It's Dylan Raiola year 2. It's the portal class you brought in. It's Dana Holgorsen. You've made the moves here to be at the table. Go freaking take something, Nebraska. Go take something. For the third year under Matt Rule, go take something because you've earned it. You've worked for it. Go actually take what you believe you've earned behind closed doors. So I've been on my soapbox there for Nebraska. October is huge for y'all because of how it sets up your November, which is kind of the story across the board for all these teams. But to me, those are the most important Octobers in college football, and I cannot wait to see what October holds for us, the middle 8 of the college football season. Cato, I know what the Saturday holds for us. Red River Rivalry, Red River Shootout, however you want to phrase it, Texas OU. We already did our game prediction on this, but I gave a major caveat during our Red River prediction that a lot of the good people in Norman, Oklahoma very fairly breezed past, but I want to revisit it as there seems to be more buzz around John Mateer potentially, not a doctor, potentially could be playing in this game on Saturday. All the buzz is he wants to play. All the buzz is he's pushing to play. Does he play? During our prediction, I broke it down as he's not going to play. That was our I think the fair parameters to put around that breakdown. Because when your head coach says after they beat Kent State and Brent Venables, I'm assuming we won't have him for the game against Texas. What are you going to do? Go ahead and predict he plays? It's not fair to do. But if John Mateer does play, what changes for Oklahoma? And do we have a different prediction for you in this game? We'll do that right now. First things first, make sure you're subscribed. If you're a college football sicko, if you live and die with your team every single Saturday as a Sooner fan, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're locked in. It's college football year-round. Your Sooners and whoever else across the country we're talking about, we're locked in on college football year-round. Appreciate you doing the same and being subscribed. So what changes if John Mateer plays? We'll see how healthy he is. We'll see what the hand's looking like. Have to imagine there's like a sick tape job on there somehow, some way. But if John Mateer is on the field for Oklahoma taking snaps, guess what you get? Extra inspired Oklahoma. And this is a game where the unquantifiables seem to have a way of playing a large factor every single year. It's Red River. It's a rivalry. It's the stadium split down the middle when it comes to burnt orange and the crimson, and I love it. You love it. It's a beautiful thing. It's college football poetry and cinema. But in this spot now, I'm just saying, if I'm an Oklahoma player and John Mateer has his surgery from a one Dr. Shin, and hopefully it went well, but he's pushing to get back a couple of weeks after that surgery, when the report was it'll be at least 3 weeks. Sarai in the South Carolina game, maybe the Ole Miss game, I don't know. But your leader of your football team, both emotionally and positionally, by him being your quarterback, gives every ounce of himself to be out there on the field for you against Texas. You're not walking out with a little extra juice to go play for your boy. You're not maybe finishing through the whistle a little bit more on a block if you're a receiver blocking a DB on the perimeter, or maybe you're finishing through on a tackle a little more nasty to you if you're a linebacker. I'm just saying, man, to have an extra dialed-up Oklahoma team with John Mateer on the field, that would be the case. That would help Oklahoma in this spot. Pretty straightforward. The other part of this, though, we have to account for is, okay, JD, that's nice. You give us this Rudy speech, win one for the Gipper, all that, cool. Guess what? You still have to spot the ball, don't you? What's the game plan? The game plan with John Mateer being available here, I think what we would see is him being in the game, to me, tells me he is healthy enough to make the throws that you're going to ask him to make if you're Ben Arbuckle and John Kuziaski. I think it also means you feel enough confidence around him carrying the football to where he's not going to cough it up. Like if John Mateer's playing, it's not because he is just hoping he's going to wrap up that football with two hands and have a way to hang on. Like you're playing him understanding, all right, if he gets hit, that ball's not going to get squirted out because it got peanut punched and he just didn't have a good handle because that hand's still weak. You play him with the belief that he's going to take care of the football when he tucks it and runs. So my guess is here for Oklahoma, you don't want to put too much on him throwing the ball downfield, at least from the jump. But Texas still has to respect that part of it with 10 in the game, right? You still have to at least assume, hey, he's playing. We've seen him on tape. He can push the ball downfield. So I don't think Texas, at the jump at least, plays this different version of what we've seen from them defensively. I think Texas says, all right, he's in there. Base stuff. Here we go. We know he can throw. How well can he throw today? We'll see. But I think Texas plays their base stuff. So then you see Oklahoma very slyly behind the curtain dial up a more run-centric game plan. And some of that, I think, too, would be John Mateer in the quarterback run game, committing to that. So what you're trying to do if you're Oklahoma, you try to get Texas to commit a little bit extra to you running the football. Try to make the statement to start the game, hey, listen, we saw what Florida did to y'all, going downhill and manhandle y'all. Maybe we don't have the same offensive line that Florida does, but if we add an extra blocker in here with the designed quarterback John Mateer run game, we got numbers. We can match up with y'all in the box. And so you see Oklahoma then kind of take this physical approach to start the game. So then what happens? Texas, if that works for Oklahoma, has to adjust. Got to be a little bit more aggressive at the very least when it comes to playing the run downhill. So when that happens, it's teed up for John Mateer, more real estate on the back end. John, we don't know if you got a ton of juice in that right wing today, but you got enough to hit someone downhill when that safety triggers too quickly. We got real estate, and it's Jaron Kanek for a touchdown. Those kinds of plays, I would expect a lower attempt number from John Mateer through the year, but those kinds of plays could make the difference. Because to keep it a buck, we've all seen the Texas offense the last couple of weeks. Hasn't been that much to get excited about. You got New York Times authors, or writers rather, feeling a little bit bold and using words like flop for Arch Manning, which different discussion we already had yesterday on the show. But the point being, Texas still hasn't been that great offensively. You still have to me at least, breaking down this game, have to prove at Texas that you're going to be able to score some points. So I say that to make sure it's clear. This could be a field position kind of game. It could be a 17 points, 20 points wins the game for you, Oklahoma. You don't need John Mateer to be at top speed, throwing the football downfield to win this game, which is also, I think, why if you're an Oklahoma fan, you're like, okay, Michael Hawkins, go play field position for us, man. We can be fine without John Mateer in this game. I hear you, I understand that, but I like Oklahoma more with John Mateer in the football game. We talked before after the Michigan game for Oklahoma about not wanting to see a ton of John Mateer in the run game going forward, but we also made sure we mentioned within that there's a couple of games where you just got to find a way. You know, you don't want your quarterback to have 20 carries, but it's Texas. It's October. It's kind of a grit your teeth spot if you're Ben Arbuckle and company. So to round this out, you could see John Mateer have a high level of carries here. With, again, him playing tells me he can take care of the football. So you could see it be a little bit more downhill, 15, 20 carries for Mateer, get him on ice after the game and let him hit the Norman Tech boots and get him healthy. So my take in this game, as I said during our previous prediction for the game, and going back to this here, if John Mateer plays, I am picking Oklahoma in Red River. If he doesn't, there's too much out there to me that feels squirrely to feel good about Oklahoma in this spot with Michael Hawkins Jr. Just my feel on this. But if John Mateer plays, let me say it with my chest, I'm picking Oklahoma to win the football game. Probably take them something like 20 to 16, 17, give or take. Oklahoma wins if John Mateer plays, and I think it would look a lot like that style of game with number 10. Behind center, running the football, a couple of passes downfield, enough to solve your problems, and Oklahoma wins in Red River. Brent Venables gets his second win over Texas and Steve Sarkisian in that game. Cato's heavy Sooners day for us on the program, man. I know you're in the camp of Oklahoma. We like to have Mateer, but we don't need Mateer. Thoughts on Mateer potentially playing and what it looks like if they get him in this one?
Yeah, you've been mentioning a lot that if he's playing in this game, it means that they feel good about his ball security. I'm more worried about that hand, man. Like, I don't care. Like, if he fumbles the ball, so be it. Like, if he's playing, you want him to come out of this game healthy, because if he ends up re-injuring the hand, that's a way bigger problem to me. And that's like, obviously I want to see John Mateer play in this game as a college football fan, but I would be so worried about that hand surgery alum over here. Like, don't want him re-injuring that hand. It's his throwing hand. Like, that'd be my biggest fear, and I'd be watching in fear. So I guess, like, for you, if you were on that staff, if you were in John Mateer's corner, what percentage of, like, insurance would you need that he's not going to re-injure the hand and it sets back his rehab for him to play? Because for me, like, if there's a 10-15% chance that he's going to, like, hurt that hand again, I wouldn't even risk it as an undefeated team. I get that it's Red River. I get that it's a big deal. But if your only loss heading into the month of November or the end of October is to Texas without your starting quarterback, I think it's understood that, okay, like, we know you're a different team. I think even with the committee in the past taking into account injuries, if this team loses 2 or 3 games and they're only because John Mateer's not in there and they look amazing like they have up until this point with him in the lineup and they're undefeated with their starting quarterback in there, I think it could even be something in play when we get to college football playoff time.
Yeah, it gets sticky. You'd like to avoid that discussion, but what you just said with Oklahoma and how tough their schedule is earlier in the show.
They have plenty of opportunities, man.
If there's going to be a benefit of the doubt team in this 12-team era, it's probably Oklahoma. I don't know if it's going to be Florida with that USF loss, but it's probably Oklahoma if we get a 9-3 OU. The thing that I'm curious about, we got to get Dr. Shin on the show here and have him violate some HIPAA and tell us all about this surgery, because there's some injuries, Cato, you know as well as anybody else, there's some injuries where it's just all about what can you tolerate physically, and the re-injury rate is pretty low. Like, I broke my collarbone. I don't know exactly what the surgery entailed for John Mateer, but I broke my collarbone, and coming back from it, they were just saying, you're not going to re-injure it. You got a freaking plate in your shoulder, dude. You're not going to re-injure this. Or I got pins in my hand at one point in time. Hey, that bone is healed. You're not going to re-injure it, but it's all about what you feel good about, what you can tolerate. Is that the John Mateer camp, or is it, and Sooner Scoop probably has this intel, or at least if they don't, they will in the near future, I'm sure. Is it a thing where you're risking John Mateer for what you just said going into November, where it's a lot of this Missouri, Tennessee, Bama, like it's going to be a little bit of a gauntlet here. You got to protect it from himself. So I think to answer your question, if I get John Mateer saying, hey, I'm 85%, 80% good to go, I'm not jeopardizing fumbling the football, I'm not going to be a liability throwing the football downfield, and Dr. Shin says, hey, he can't make it all that much worse. The floor is pretty high in terms of where he's at right now and making it worse. That would be my take there, because what you just said is perfect. You don't want to be John Mateerless here in November. That would be catastrophic. Feels like even too soft of a word, but that's what it would be.
Yeah, and even if, like, we need to, first of all, Dr. Shin, if you're watching, come on down. Would love some insight. We got Venmo? Would love some intel.
Name your price.
But like, if this was an undefeated Texas team coming into it, like, okay, like, now we're talking. If that was like undefeated Texas and like maybe your schedule isn't as strong and this is kind of a must-have spot to prove it, maybe you've even lost a game before, sure. But I think this is like the ultimate scenario of like a Red River game, given the big picture of Oklahoma's season that I'm not going to say matters the least, but like if they've already lost a game and we're trying to avoid a second loss, if Texas was undefeated and that was going to be by far the best team on their schedule, like, dude, if you lose this one in a close one, you don't have your quarterback, man, it's a rivalry game. Arch finally looks good or something. Like, Lord knows, you play Ole Miss, you play Alabama, you play Missouri, you play plenty of teams that are better than Texas right now, that if this game is a loss, we can push that to the wayside and watch John Mateer and what this team looks like at full strength against some really good teams. And if you get wins there, I think that'll be valued a lot more than this game. So we'll see. The value, obviously, internally with this matchup is a whole nother ball game. It's a rivalry game and one of the best, if not my favorite, in college football. So we'll see. But, man, I'd be nervous watching this guy play for sure if it came out that, okay, like kind of got to protect the hand. As if he had a little brace on it, I'd be like, okay, this isn't cool. But he's a warrior, man. If the Chipotle files are true, it'll be on and popping, and this is a game.
Texas and Chipotle, a news-breaking source combo I would never have guessed. But I want to just go back to one more thing you said there, because I think it's a great point. I think it's going to be – it's tough to to have this totally sink in if you're an Oklahoma fan when you're this close to Red River, but there's two lenses you have on this right now. The first lens is the emotional lens of we hate Texas, it's Red River, we got a squad this year, Texas looks gettable, let's freaking go, foot to the neck, finish them, sweep the leg. That is the emotional side. The more strategic, probably more logical, cooler head side is what you just said, Cato. Like, let's say the quiet part out loud. How good of a win is Texas going to be here in November?
We don't know.
What if Texas falls off the face of the map here and you're like, well, you beat Texas, that was good, but Texas also got beat by 3 or 4 other teams. Whoa, okay. Hey, that's not really a feather in the cap that it was, but the rivalry still means everything, so I'm not watering that down by any stretch. But if you're thinking purely college football playoff, there's a lot of other data points that will hold a high amount of value for Oklahoma here down the stretch. You'd have to think with what they have in the rest of October and November. So
yeah, the absolute worst case scenario is John Mateer re-injures his hand. You beat Texas, and Texas only wins a couple more games this year. And it's like, why'd we do that? Like, why do we just risk our star player getting re-injured just to beat our rival, which is obviously important? But this is a game where the quarterbacks haven't played, and backup quarterbacks named Caleb Williams have rose to the occasion and gotten wins. Like this, Dylan Gabriel, big storyline before that game that he missed. Like this is kind of a defining factor of this game, and I couldn't think of a better excuse to losing this one with your rival than being like, if Jean Mateer played, we would have beat you, right?
Dude.
Like you could have that. You could have that up your sleeve. Like if you're Oklahoma, like to me, it's high risk, low reward in my opinion. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what Dr. Shin has to say leading up to kickoff when he's probably on the game day desk, spin some facts if he doesn't join us before that. But until then, man, you know where I lean. Just put John on ice, man. You could still win this game without him. And even if you do, big win over Texas. It's the rival, yes, but we'll see what Texas does the rest of the year. Gear up for Alabama, man. Gear up for Tennessee. Like those are some big wins that I'm pumped to watch when John Mateer's in the lineup, fully healthy, peak of his powers.
No matter how you slice it, the good folks in Texas OU group chats that are repping the burnt orange, it's going to be very, very toxic whether you win or lose. So our thoughts and prayers with you there. Speaking of toxic, man, what's been toxic the better part of the last decade plus is the conversation around the old Texas A&M Aggies in College Station. Battered Aggie syndrome has been a real thing. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you're just a Louisville fan, you're like, Battered Aggie syndrome. Like, what in the Battered Aggie syndrome? Essentially, is this thought that every single offseason, you look at what Texas A&M has on the roster, hey, we got a couple of guys coming back here. Hey, we did pretty well in the recruiting rankings. Hey, Connor Wegman, he was a 5-star now. He's a 5-star. Hey, that 2020 season, I know it was a little COVID asterisk next to it, but Jimbo might have something cooking in College Station. And then the next season arrives, it goes poorly, and emotionally, you're beat up. I don't know how many years in a row, JD, can I keep coming back to the well, sipping the hopium from that bottle, and then every single October, November, falling flat on my face. Well, the good news is I think Battered Aggie syndrome may have found a cure. There may be an antidote that will be an anecdote, hopefully, here for you in the future, from a one Mike Elko. All right, a couple of CCs of that seems to have, at this point in time now, subjects are starting to test as healthy for Battered Aggie syndrome. So the reason why I say this, the reason why it's different if you're an A&M fan this year, when was the last time that you knew who your football team was in the month of October? I know I'm not saying had a good record. I'm not saying you felt good about the team. I'm saying legitimately, you knew the style of ball they were going to play with every single weekend, their strengths, their weaknesses, games you could win during this month. Because I think at the very least, the record's nice for sure. It's a big part of where you're at right now in the college football playoff conversation is your record. But you know who your quarterback is and Marcel Reed. You know what he's bringing to the table. You know who your playmakers are. You know your defensive ceiling. You've seen it. And not just like you talk about it and it's fun to talk about it over on the message boards. It's like, no, I've actually seen this defense do things that we talked about them doing in the preseason. It's actually showing up on the field. Like this time last year, Connor Wegman was still your quarterback. Marcel Reed hadn't yet entered the game against LSU and taken over the reins. We were over here on the show saying, hey, man, I don't know, Marcel Reed looks a little bit different from that Florida game. He might be the better option for you. You weren't even 100% sure who your quarterback was, I think, internally, if you're an A&M fan this time a year ago. Different identity. There's way more proof in the pudding. There's way more to be sure of right now than I think there ever has been over the course of the last several years. All right. Now, the Johnny Manziel year is a special year. Don't get it twisted. But right now, in the context of this 12-team playoff era, I think there's a lot more to be sure of. And right in line with that, the things you're sure of is this A&M team can play a lot of different styles of games. Again, not just on paper, not just hypotheticals, real life. Beat Notre Dame scoring 40+. You beat Auburn scoring less than 20. Then you play a poor first half against Mississippi State. All good. We reset. First half doesn't become the second half. Go blow the doors off Mississippi State, cover that big number. This A&M team can be water. There's a great Bruce Lee quote that I've talked about a couple times on this show for those of y'all that have been dialed in since its existence. Bruce Lee talks about the importance of becoming water. Water can shapeshift. Put water in the cup, it becomes the cup. Put water in the bowl, it becomes the bowl. A&M, put them in a shootout, they become the shootout. A&M, put them in a rock fight, they become the rock fight. They have all these different ways to win football games. That is the secret ingredient to success in modern college football. Because at any point in time, especially in the SEC, at any point in time, you will be faced with a game where that quarterback on the other side is pretty freaking good. Going to have it this weekend against DJ Lagway. Now, will that be a rock fight? I don't know. But there's the possibility that Florida just says, you know what, actually, we like playing well offensively. We feel good about doing that now with Dallas Wilson in the lineup. We figured out we can actually hand the ball to Jaden Baugh. That's pretty easy to do. We're going to go ahead and score, 30. If you're A&M, you don't like what that means for your defense, but you don't feel like you can't win a style of game that way. Like 35-30, would that be a surprising score this weekend? Sure. But it's a game that A&M could win, right? Last year, that wasn't the case. Your leading receiver was ranked in the 20s when it came to his rankings across the SEC at the end of the season. That was your leading receiver. This year, you got to do just top 10 in the country in yards right now. Mario Craver. Last year, you didn't really have a ton of juice downfield, it felt like, offensively. You had Le'Veon Moss, then he gets hurt, and the offense just kind of doesn't look right or feel right. Not only do you have Le'Veon Moss and Ruben Owens both healthy, you have a quarterback in Marcel Reed with weapons around him that you average your top 16 in America, in yards per pass. A&M right now is top 20 in yards passing a game and top 30 in yards rushed a game. If that's not versatile, I don't know what is. But that's where A&M is right now. The last part of this is the schedule. And I don't want to be that cop-out guy and say, well, the path's easier this year. Because I think A&M, if you gave them last year's schedule, I'd still feel pretty good about them. But the road games that you have this year compared to last year, not easy. It's the SEC. Heck, you pledged, didn't you? It's not easy. But at LSU at night, okay, potentially if that's at night, it could be tricky. But at Missouri, at Texas, I'll take that all day long compared to at Willie B at night and at Jordan-Hare at night. Both games a year ago that ended up being the Achilles heel for A&M that kept them out of the college football playoff. Still had a chance to beat Texas and go to the SEC title, all that. But you were really feeling yourself as an at-large playoff team before losing those two games on the road. So the path itself, way more manageable. Way more manageable also with a veteran team. Have to think now that you're not seeing quite as much as you were going into those games. Like the eyes aren't as big, the heart's not racing as quickly because you have guys that have been in those kind of situations. A&M was top 10, I believe, in returning production in college football headed into the season. Having guys that have got some real scars on them, that matters. There's no way around it. It sounds cliche. It sounds like something you would hear at a motivational press conference or a motivational convention, but it matters. It does. And that's the biggest part of this. If you're an A&M fan, the number one reason, I already said it before, I'll say it again, the reason why you feel different about this year compared to other years, the reason why Battered Aggie syndrome is maybe, just maybe, going to be a thing of the past, maybe they found a cure, is Mike Elko. Isn't Mike Elko sort of like the anti what you've had in the past at the head coaching spot? Not flashy, not real soundbitey. I don't think he wears blue jeans to a press conference if Nick Saban says something about him. Keep it popping. It feels very much like Mike Elko being the antithesis of what you've had as a head coach fits way more with what A&M wants to be at a fan base level. In a lot of places, that doesn't matter. I don't think for Pitt, it matters all that much if your head coach and your fan base are one and the same. If it does and it helps, sure. But at A&M, you truly have to get that place. And Mike Elko, I keep saying this, but I got to make sure we just drive it through everyone's cerebral cortex. Mike Elko gets hired at A&M. His opening press conference, you the war him, he's not just swaying with it. He knows all the words. He gets A&M. And him getting A&M plus the substance part of him that's not flashy, that fits again with what A&M needs, I think that's a big reason why you can expect different from this team here going forward. So A&M, not flashy, not nearly as flashy, that's fine, but they're different this year. And I am all the way here for it when it comes to what they can be the rest of this year. All right, let's get some game time on here, man. We got a big one this upcoming weekend with Indiana going to Autzen Stadium to play Oregon. This will be a top 10 matchup. This will be a matchup that has College Game Day at it, but with big games, you get big headlines. With big headlines, you get a couple of smaller headlines, like I said before, that sometimes fall by the wayside that are maybe just as, if not more important than what you have being talked about at a high level within this game. What's being missed in Indiana and Oregon? For starters, Indiana are not like just some good story. Like, they are much better than their logo indicates, which is a gross thing to say out loud, but I think it's being missed across the college football public. You see Indiana as a logo, you think, oh, cool. The candy cane pants for basketball. Hoosiers, March Madness, all those things, great. No, like, the line of scrimmage play for Indiana is legit. They can hang with anybody up front. I really believe that. 4 yards of carry against Iowa on the ground. Iowa, what do? They stop the run. Stop the run, and they did not stop the run at that level necessarily against Indiana when it came to those yards per carry numbers. Top 10 is Indiana in sacks and tackles for a loss. I know that Indiana hasn't played like the most explosive offenses in the world, but against Illinois, and only scored some points against USC. I mean, at the very least, Iowa, they're going to try to run the football too. Indiana still top 10 in both those categories. To drive this point home, Indiana, line of scrimmage play, it's legit. They're not going to get blown off the football. I would be shocked if we see Indiana roll out there against Oregon and it looks at all similar to what we saw when Ohio State took them out to the woodshed a year ago in Columbus. More on this game in a second, but if you want to be at this game, thinking about going to this game, if you're a Duck fan, you're a Hoosier fan, want to get out to this one, Game Time is the best way to get you some tickets. All right, college football season is here. Buy tickets last minute with Game Time. If you want to buy them Friday morning, buy them Saturday morning, Game Time will have tickets on there for you, so long as they're not all sold out, I suppose. But I think Game Time, if there's tickets for it, they'll make sure you have it. Also, see the view from your seat before you buy your ticket using Game Time. So hear me clearly, save us all some money by what I'm about to tell you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code HARDCOUNT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, code HARDCOUNT, HARDCOUNT, for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, download the Game Time app today. We also got to make sure we say this out loud. Fernando Mendoza over there in Indiana, I don't think he's just a good story either. I know he was at Cal a year ago, and there's a fair question to be asked as to, well, this is the biggest game of his life, right? I mean, 98 yards with my boys was huge, but brother, that's not Stanford. That's Oregon on the other side of this thing. And as much as the spot is big, Fernando Mendoza's played in some big games. Played in some, a better way to say it, played in some intense environments at Oregon when he was at Cal, at Auburn when he was at Cal. So he's not a stranger to a little bit of extra noise when it comes to him playing quarterback. Fernando Mendoza, I had someone in NFL circles tell me yesterday, they believe he's the better quarterback in this game. Now, what's the margin of advantage there for Indiana? I don't know. I like Dante Moore a lot too. I'm not saying less of Dante Moore, but that was what was told to me. So don't shoot the messenger. Bottom line, Fernando Mendoza, if you go ahead and look at the numbers here, graphics and stats by Cato, numbers pretty eerily similar between him and A1 Dante Moore. Now, Dante Moore is getting all the Heisman buzz and being talked about as a guy who could be a top pick in next year's draft. Fernando Mendoza getting some of that discussion too. A little bit less volume, but still getting some of that discussion. Pretty similar production. So it's going to be a phenomenal quarterback duel, I think, when we get this one in Eugene. So make no mistake about it, Indiana is legit on the line of scrimmage. Fernando Mendoza is not going to walk out there, I don't think, and have any heart palpitations when it comes to how he looks against the Ducks. Now, for Oregon, I've said so many good things about them, and they're all true. This is going to sound like I'm taking a slight at Oregon, but I just want to make sure we say this out loud to get it out there because it's not being said nearly enough. Dan Lanning is the best motivator, the best communicator in college football. He's an absolute dog. Make no mistake about that. But at the exact same time, this year's team is not last year's team. This year's team, I think, still has to prove they can handle success at the level they have it right now. Because you beat Penn State, you have a bye week, everybody is telling you how great you are. Oregon's the best team in college football. Oregon's going to be a playoff. They're going to play Ohio State for a Big Ten title. All that. And all that's fair. All that's earned. But last year's team was so legit because they heard that buzz after they beat Ohio State in the regular season, heard all the great things said about them, and then went and handled business every single week thereafter in a semi-convincing way outside of the Wisconsin game. And that was even the end of the year. So, like, Oregon, they were so good at resetting was last year's team. This year's team still has to prove that in this spot now where you've had 2 weeks to soak in the Penn State win, and you got a team that can beat you if you don't bring your best against Indiana. Also not being said enough, Will Stein, the genius OC out there for them in Autzen, will probably at some point in time be a head coach here, sooner rather than later. He's got a whole week to cook something up during that bye week. I think Will Stein got in his bag a little bit here. You don't think he did some self-scouting over things that they've run over the course of this season and things they have set up for the Indiana game? Do not be surprised if we see Oregon pop out there with some different things that we haven't seen to this point in the season. He's only coached one game where he actually had to go into the bag a little bit more, where he actually had a team on the other side that could potentially beat them. Like, no disrespect to Oregon State or Oklahoma State, I'm not calling my best stuff against them. Sure, we'll have a couple of things in there that are fun with Kenyon Sadiq playing quarterback for us in a Wildcat formation, but I think they got a few bullets in the chamber through the Ducks. That bag is deep. Make that very clear. Last take here. This game is as big as it feels. Because us as college football fans, I love us, but we're a little bit toxic. We love to do the whole revisionist history stuff. I've already heard rumblings of it. Well, Oregon, big win at Penn State, but Penn State just lost to UCLA, right? How good is Penn State really? No, Penn State's good. Penn State took their eye off the ball and looked stupid doing it, but Penn State's good. That's not like a whack win, by any stretch of the imagination, for Oregon. You don't water down that win. So if Oregon gets beat by Indiana here, I don't want to do the whole thing where it's like, well, yeah, but we don't know about Penn State, so do we really know all that much about Oregon? So Indiana, that logo, I don't really like that logo as a college football elitist, so therefore Indiana, we'll see. Don't water it down. Don't water it down. I think these are two college football playoff caliber teams. Same thing can be said for Oregon if they win. Well, Indiana, like we saw this before last year, right? They play a quality opponent and they just fall flat on their face. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Indiana, 2 years in a row under Curt Cignetti, seems to be looking very wagonish, very college football playoff-ish. I think this year's team is better than last year's team. So don't water down the win, whoever gets it. Understand, these are two teams that I think we will see, at least have the potential to see in the postseason. So don't water it down. This game is as big as it feels. Indiana's legit on the line of scrimmage. Oregon have a week to cook something up, and we'll see how they handle that spot. Nonetheless, I am fired up for it. All right, moving right along here. It's your favorite segment every single week. We're bringing it, man. It's the superlatives ahead of week 7 of the college football season. To break it all down, it's that man who's nice on the ones, the twos, the mic. You've heard him a couple times throughout this show, and you're better for it. Cato, we got a couple of things to jump into, man, a couple of categories. Let's start with our upset watch for week 7 of the college football season. You got the notes out. I love it. You want to get us started? I got a lot of places I want to go with the upset watch, so I want to let you talk your stuff first, and we can go forward from there.
Yeah, it's funny. I busted out the notes today because there are so many games to choose from in each category, and I have a couple here for each. I was actually preferring you to go first, just so I could not take them. I mean, throughout this segment, I have multiple picks for just about all of these. Number 1 for upset watch, you're gonna hate to hear it. Cover your ears, Baton Rouge. South Carolina versus LSU. Mentioned it before. Do you learn how to run the ball during a bye week? That's the biggest question for me in this game. South Carolina has the best player in this game. This game was awesome last year, so it can make a couple categories, honestly. This was just absolute cinema last year in Willie B when they had a college game day out there. And a lot of people think, not saying this is me, a lot of people think if Lenora Sellers finishes that game, start to finish, that they win that game.
Yeah.
So they have that on their minds. I know that for a fact. It's Cocktober. I don't know if LSU is going to look Florida State-ish this year and maybe get back-to-back losses. But this spot for me, just the Lenora Sellers of it all, I get that South Carolina isn't as complete of a team, maybe top to bottom as they were compared to last year. The strength of LSU is that defense right now. They have to contain number 16. And I think offense can go toe-to-toe with this offense as far as point-for-point scoring back and forth. So upset watch for me this week is South Carolina taking on LSU in the Bayou.
Oh, that's a good one, dude. Like, you can never rule out number 16, just throwing the cape on and saying, all right, that was fun. LaDaddy's here. Get ready for this.
He can take over any game. And
take over.
This would be a great one for him.
Upset. Yeah, that's one of the games, too, that in the preseason I circled as LSU's only loss.
Yeah.
Now, naturally, it would not be their only loss if they were to drop that one. But I think as much as it hurts me in here, I'm pointing to my heart for those of y'all that are listening via podcast. Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible. How about this one? Pitt at FSU. FSU now, are they on a little schneid? I don't know how you spell it, if it's CH or SH, but nonetheless, are they on one? I don't know. Lost to Virginia. Okay, you can explain that one. Friday night, weird stuff. Charlottesville. Miami, yep, definitely see it. Miami, I think, is the best team in the country. But I'm looking for the little self-arrest situation from Florida State here. Knowledge. I'm waiting for them to say, okay, that was tough. That shouldn't have happened to us in the Charlottesville game. And Miami should have come out with a little bit more juice to start. But, like, where's the okay, line in the sand, plant our flag, now we flip this thing back in the right direction? Because I keep saying this, we knew Florida State would be dangerous as a front runner. What are they, though, when things don't go properly, when things don't go how you want it to go? Thomas Castellanos, we saw him be awesome in the first part of last year and then didn't finish the year at Boston College. Not didn't finish the year in terms of, like, wasn't the starter, didn't finish the year with the team. Like, he just pieced out. And, like, that's a whole different discussion, so I don't want to, like, delve too deeply into, like, the personal psychology of Tommy C. I'm just saying we've seen a hot start from him before and see it dial back a little bit. Pitt now breaking in a new quarterback. Cade Bell's a boy genius as an OC. That, to me, plus 10.5 on the road. Can Florida State get some more juice? We've seen teams already take one loss from the previous week and follow into the next week and not look great. So we shall see about that one. But I think Pitt FSU is one of the many I would circle. I got Maryland, Nebraska. I got NC State, Notre Dame. Like, well, there's a lot there, but that's the one I'll circle here.
Yeah, I think as someone who took Florida State's season win total under, wouldn't mind this happening. But on the same token, I told you before, I watched Mike Norvell's press conference. He's running hot. Mm-hmm. I think it didn't make me feel good about that win total for sure. I think they feel really good about what they have in-house there, so I don't forecast this one being an upset. I think they actually come out and probably cover in this one. I think they try to prove a point that these last two games weren't necessarily them. The one I have circled to, a very, very sneaky one. Kansas goes to Texas Tech. I get that Texas Tech's a wagon. I get that everyone thinks they're one of the best teams, not just in the Big 12, but in the nation. All of Kansas' losses are close. They're all shootouts. They're the weird, wacky team that played spoiler last year for a ton of teams trying to make that Big 12 title game. One of the strongest parts of this Texas Tech team is that pass rush. I think Jalen Daniels is uniquely equipped to maybe make something shake in the backfield there. So maybe not an outright win, but keep an eye on Kansas there. The Big 12 hasn't been as weird as we've imagined, and I think October in this spot specifically in Lubbock would be a great spot with that new Texas Tech logo. Maybe getting put on the ropes a little bit with that Lance Leipold team.
The logo, man.
I'm not a fan.
Getting some mixed reviews. I'm with you. I'm always, whenever there's like a massive change in college football, it's like traditional, the double T. Also, mid-season, you're changing the logo.
That's the weirdest part. You were again, we've talked about we're stitious on this show. We're not superstitious.
Just a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit.
Mid-season, you're undefeated. Why are we switching the logo?
Don't change the drill.
If they lose this weekend, it's not only because of the culture of the Kansas Jayhawks and me calling my shot here.
I like that.
It's because they switched the logo. Like, what are we doing mid-season switching a logo that I thought was great and just taking it down to its bare bones? Super whack. I digress. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. And maybe that makes me feel even better about them getting upset here trying to do too much off the field when everything's going fine on the field. And
it's not an old-looking logo. Not to camp out here too long,
yeah.
But, like, it's not like that needed some refurbishing. You're like, no,
I thought it looked good.
Modern.
I loved it.
I think Graham Harrell, I think Michael Crabtree, which I don't think were that old to remember those guys playing for that team. And Mike Lee. I don't know. It is what it is. But I'm with you, dude. Kansas, Texas Tech. A little bit sneaky. Hey, how about things could get weird? I wonder if we have the same one here for this one, Cato.
I think we do. I have a backup, but I think we both think one game in particular has a weirding way way it.
Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Auburn, Georgia
versus Auburn.
Okay.
Yeah. Same order. Same thing with order. Yeah.
Same thing. We're dialed in.
It gets
dude.
weird there.
The ingredients are they're so there. Jordan Hare at night, first-year quarterback for Georgia. Georgia's looked a little bit shaky at points, right? They haven't looked like the dominant Kirby team we have been accustomed to seeing. And it makes sense, like first and second year players, but first and second year players walking into that stadium where weird things just like happen routinely. Don't know. So I won't pick Auburn to win that game, just so we're on the same page. But I think that game will be one where you're watching your games and you're kind of checking. Maybe if you don't have the 4-box going, you get the Matt Berry game break, and it's like, hang on now. Jackson Arnold goes for his second touchdown of the afternoon here, and Jordan Hare's on fire. Could Georgia be on the ropes? Back to you. It'll be kind of something like that.
Probably a touchdown on the ground. Yeah, I think that this game is just always weird too. Hugh Freeze, off a bye week, has some time to prep, get in the lab. You've seen week after week, Georgia's had a couple slow starts to start that first quarter. So if Auburn throws the first punch, I think this one gets really weird and interesting and really fast. I think the SEC's got a couple weird spots just in general this year. I feel like this is kind of where I always put an SEC team. But Florida A&M's a little weird to me too, man. Like, I love A&M. We talked previously in this show, and I'm not gonna lie, I looked at the BetMGM odds for them to win the conference, and it's at like plus 700. I almost put a couple units on that because I think they're the most complete team in the conference, top to bottom. But Florida, man, they're just gonna be things could get weird, I think, all-star this year as far as their ceiling and floor. And if they play anything close to what they did against Texas, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a game get off to a weird start. I mean, A&M got off to a weird start against Mississippi State last week.
Yeah.
So just all those different factors, I think, could make that a weird spot too, for sure. I don't think they're going to have the swamp to their back, obviously. They're not going to have, I think, as much of an advantage as they did on the defensive line compared to Texas's offensive line that you have with A&M. But still, nonetheless, two teams that can make it interesting and get weird too. That's another game I'm looking at.
And Florida did that last year. Like, who's to say Florida doesn't like flip the switch, play well with confidence, we're playing for Napier, pressure's off, all those things, and then they just go out there and ruin it in College Station. We said it last weekend, and I want to say it again. DJ Lagway from the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Think it's a little bit personal for him when they play teams from that state. A&M was very heavily in his recruitment trying to flip him away from Florida until the very end when Michael got that job. So if there's a personal element here, you'd think it would maybe play a factor for a DJ Lagway like it did last week with him playing well against the Longhorns. Missouri, Alabama too, Cato. I picked Mizzou in that one on this show for that getting weird. 11 a.m. Central, Missouri number one time possession. Missouri's only a 3-point dog at home, which you would almost expect more from Bama being favored there. Like, that's another one that just screams weird. It'd also be weird if you've ever watched a Missouri game this year. Tractors, cranes, all those, like, just construction around the Missouri Stadium, which kind of gives more of an eerie feeling. A lot of weird this week. I think it's going to be a weird slate, dude.
Yeah, well, perfect transition because I have several for must-see TV, and I think the Alabama-Missouri game is must-see TV for me. You could argue, just especially with the health of a John Mateer, there hasn't been two quarterbacks in the conference playing better than Bo Perbula and Ty Simpson. Like I meant, like you picked them to win this game, Missouri, that is, and the reaction on Twitter was very funny to see. Obviously, some people just aren't dialed. Oh, you always pick against Bama. Like, some people just, it's not clocking to them. They're not watching the show. They don't have their facts straight. A couple people in the comments, they're like, JD, like, this is sharp. Like, JD knows ball. Like, it was such a mixed review of comments as far as Alabama fans saying what they have to say, Missouri fans having to say what they have to say, but people who are just clearly have no dog in the fight, who had strong takes either way. I think that makes that must-see TV, man. Like, this is such an interesting spot. Stylistically, it's such an interesting game as far as both offenses and what they've done this year. I think they're two of the most entertaining teams to watch, and that's one of 2 or 3 games I have here in the must-see TV category. But while you were talking about it getting weird, I think it could get weird, it can get fun, and that's what makes it must-see.
And Bo Perbula, too, a lot of people have yet to see him actually play a college football game if you're a casual
viewer. They're going to learn.
Like, you see the highlights. Oh, cool, he tore up Kansas. Awesome. But I think a lot of people will watch this game to watch Bama and Ty Simpson and be not just pleasantly surprised, but like pleasantly just jacked up when they see number 9 do what he does in the backfield. Shake and bake.
They have the best backfield. They have the best backfield in the conference. Like the running back's definitely the best at his position. And then when you talk about quarterbacks, how many do you have to name before you get to that?
A&M's tough to
argue with. A&M's
but still.
A&M, a 2-person backfield. A&M's got a lot going on there for sure, but especially with the swag they got going on that backfield. But yeah, man, I have that one down. I have Red River down, which is pretty obvious. I mean, Red River, like, to me, like the Cotton Bowl, the 50-50 split, like that is must-see every year. I don't care who's in it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's far more must-see TV if John Mateer's playing in the game, but there's a weird part of me that would be very excited to watch if Michael Hawkins could outplay Archer Manning on this stage and win this game for Oklahoma. Like that makes it must-see TV for me as well. Like, it is It is as watchable as it gets as far as backdrops go in college football. The Rose Bowl's sick, obviously, and there's a couple other venues, especially rivalry games, that are awesome. This one is top of the line for me from a vibe standpoint. Even the storylines too. I mean, we've been talking about it all week, man. I think it's going to be a vibe there.
Dude, the irresponsible headlines we get from the New York Times. If Michael Hawkins Jr. outplays Arch Manning, I shudder. I shudder to even think about if he's a flop after 5 starts this year, what is he after 6 starts with a loss to a backup? I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. But for my must-see TV, Cato, before I get to that, I don't know if this is how it was for you growing up. It was this way for me growing up, and it might be this way for some of our audience. Before you watch TV, you got to get some of the chores done. I think for some of y'all watching now, before you go watch your college football for the day, you got a little honey-do list that has to be taken care of. Good news, though, if you're watching the show, to help you take care of the honey-do list, take care of those chores if you're watching, Brunt is bringing you the hard count today. Check these out. They sent us some boots, man.
Full screen.
Full screen. I love it. The jingle. The Omen boots. They sent us these. I've showed them a few times on the show. Durable, comfortable. I understand now winter is coming, which means for us, got to clean some leaves up around the house. Not around the house, around the perimeter of the house, rather. Got to maybe do some yard work that I haven't had to do just yet this early on into my career as a father, career as a husband. We were in an apartment for a long time. Now we're in a rental home. Don't mean to flex. It is what it is. But Brunt, these boots, the durability, the comfort, all those things, making sure we get those done at the highest level possible with the highest level of comfort possible. So if you're listening right now via podcast or you're watching on YouTube, hear me clearly, going to save us some money. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable, built for any job site or any honey-do list. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when you use code HARDCOUNT at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com, use code HARDCOUNT, and you're good to go. After your order, they'll ask where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor on this show and tell them you heard about them from listening, from watching the Hard Count. All right? So, Cato, my must-see TV, we hit on a couple of them already. I would say Florida A&M. I think Florida A&M is very watchable. Dude, I can't wait to watch Miami versus Underwood.
That was on my list. That was in my top 3 as well.
Backdrop off the Collie. Told you I got some memories there growing up, watching games in the fourth quarter. They light the torch in the LA Coliseum. Traveler does a lap. Let's say that's the backdrop you get, but it's Michigan down by 3. Bryce Underwood's got to throw them back into this game with 2 minutes left. Like, I think this has the chance to be really, really watchable. And also just from what we'll learn about both teams. It's kind of a hinge point for both teams in their season. We talked about that already for how important October is for both USC and Michigan. But extremely watchable product there with USC and Michigan getting after it in Los Angeles. And the new Big Ten. Also the helmet matchup we talked about before. But those two beside each other.
You beat me to it. Best helmet matchup of the year. For me personally. I don't think it gets better than those two. This game was sick last year. Not to my bank account, but sick in general. Jaden Mayava quietly leading the Big Ten in passing yards. Bryce Underwood looking like he's finally coming to his own. This is must-see for me too. Like, if I could only watch 3 games this weekend, this one makes it in the top 3 for me for sure. So no qualms about that one.
Well, speaking of sick and speaking of 3 games, kind of parlays perfectly into what Sicko's Hour is going to be. We've had a couple of weekends here where it's like, hey, take your pick of which Sicko's Hour you want to jump on. Usually we would do our Sicko's Hour game of the week, but I think we're probably well aligned in what that would be. Utah and Arizona State is going to be awesome. ASU 5.5 right now is the number. They are
at Utah.
5.5-point dogs on the road.
At Utah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Salt Lake's a hell of a backdrop as well.
Also, San Diego State -7.5 at Nevada. Utah State at Hawaii. I don't want to take all the oxygen on this point with Sicko's Hour, but doesn't it just feel good having Hawaii in the Sicko's Hour roto?
They've had the Sicko's Hour belt, I feel like, for a long time. Like, they're the Sicko's Hour, they're one of the founding fathers, if you will, of Sicko's Hour. Them, Fresno State. I think Cal has now taken the belt this year, specifically what they got going on at quarterback and how often they've been in Sicko's Hour. Colorado's a great Sicko's Hour team. Maybe a Mount Rushmore in the future for Sicko's Hour.
I love scrolling through the channels, or seeing rather the watch list via different websites, and you see, okay, this is the game, this is the television station, this is ESPN, this is Fox, this is whatever. You'll scroll down to Sicko's Hour and see where Hawaii is, and then you see the station next to it. I'm like, dude, I've never heard of that TV station. I don't think Yeah, like, I don't think I get that. No knock on Flow Sports. But I don't even think I have that accessible to me. I got to go start a free trial with Fubo TV to watch Hawaii play Utah State or play whoever. I don't think it's that way this weekend, but like you said, founding father, foundational piece, all that when it comes to what we got on tap in Sicko's Hour, Hawaii leading the charge along with ASU at Utah and San Diego State at Nevada. Cato, any parting shots here before we let the people jump into the madness that is week 7 of the college football season?
Yeah. ASU versus Utah, I feel like we didn't touch on it enough. That's going to be an awesome game. I'm nervous as a Utes fan. Devon Dampier didn't look great the last time he played at home and really opened my eyes to how bad he could possibly play and how bad this offense could possibly look against Texas Tech. So we'll see if they get it cleaned up on that side. And then Arizona State only lost outside of conference play, so they still probably look in the mirror and see themselves as a team defending their belt. And this leads up to a game against Arizona State against Texas Tech the next week. So again, I said this in the office. I don't know if I've run it by you. If I was the commissioner of college football, first order of business, everyone has to have a Big 12 team. Like, you have to have one. You have to pick one. You have to have one that you follow all year, that you root for. It should be a normal thing to ask someone, oh, who's your Big 12 team? Like, that should be commonplace
like your Premier
in
League
college
team?
Football. Yeah, exactly. Like, the same way you have a Premier League team. The ball is awesome. Week in and week out, you get sick matchups. I'm riding with the Utes. I love Iowa State. If I had to make a decision, it'd be like a signing day kind of deal where I have both of those hats and I got to pick one. But when you're an enthusiast, you get 2 teams. But nonetheless,
true.
For those watching, pick a Big 12 team, ride with them. It could be because their colors. It could be their coach. It can be there'll be no judgment as to why you pick the team, but everyone should have one. We should ask about it. We should talk about it, and we should watch it. So looking forward to watching this one.
Love it, dude. That's a great way to let the people know what they're missing if they're not watching Big 12 football. I'd like to think our sickos that watch this show are, but if you're not, man, just clip that of Cato just delivering truth bullets to you and get yourself a Big 12 team. If you haven't already, but if you're a Big 12 fan, more power to you. It's going to be a fun October, a fun November. It'll be a fun Week 7 slate. We're telling you right now, it's going to get weird. That's why we love college football. We appreciate y'all making this show what it is. We love you. Keep it locked right here. Make sure you subscribe to College Football and about college football. We're going to keep this party rolling. Have a tremendous Week 7. We will see y'all